So hello guys, hope you are doing well. We are here for MVVM tutorial. So in this video we'll show you what is MVVM, how the MVVM pattern is, and how do we inject a view model to a view, and how do we get data from from model and pass this data to the view. So as you can see in my solution explorer, there are three folders: model, view, and the view model. So as the name suggests, MVVM, M is the model, view is the view, and the MVVM is the view model. So what is model? Model is nothing but any blueprint of required data. So here in this case we have a model called student. So all the required data will be available in the student, and we'll have a view. What is view? View is what you see in our screen. So it may be on the student application form, it may be the collection of data of a student. So what you see in the screen is a view. So view is a user interface. Now what is a view model? So view model is a vital part in the MVVM pattern. So view model is the responsible to get data from the model and pass that data to the view to display the data. So how does it work? So this to a view, because there is no code behind the concept. We don't write any code in the code behind. So how do we communicate from view to a view model? So there is a concept called data context. So every user control or the window in WPF has a property called data context. So using data context, we are binding data context view to the view model. So if we assign any object as a data context, then that object will be act as a view model for that view. So let me go ahead and show it to you practically. Then you will understand very better. So here is a view model called student information view model. So now I'll make communication between view and the view model. So to communicate between to make communication between view and the view model, we need to assign a data context. Now data context can be assigned by two ways: one from the XAML and other from the code behind. Now I'll show you both the ways. First I'll assign a data context by XAML. So here as you can see, I have a view model called student information view model. Now I'll assign this class as a data context for this view. So first of all, I need to give a namespace for that class. So I'll give a namespace called XMLNS local or view model. It's up to you how you give your name, and MVVM demo dot view model. So this is we have done with the namespace defining. Now we'll assign that class as a data context for this view. Window dot data context, and we'll create an instance for that class. So how? We'll use a namespace which we have created just now, and the class. That is done. So here we have created a communication between a view and the view model. Now we can perform binding. So this is one way to define a data context using XAML. Now another way is to define a data context in the code behind. Now I'll clear this code and I'll assign data context from code behind. So in the constructor or anywhere, I'll create an instance for this student view model, student information view model. And this dot data context view model. We are done with the binding. Now when we say data context for any view, that means that data context, that object of a data context, in this case this is the object of this one. So this object will act as a view model for this student information view. Now we can go ahead and we can perform a binding. Now, so how the binding works? For the binding we need a data context, correct? So I mean for the view model, actually for the view model we need a data context. How binding works? So I'll show you first theoretically and I'll go you practically. I'll show you how this data goes from view to view model and again coming vice versa. So student information view model we have. Okay, so how data goes? Let's say in student information, now you can perform a binding because we have defined this class as a data context for student information view here, and I have shown you both the ways to define a data context for a view. Now I'll create a property name. So here we have created a property called name. Now we can bind this name property to any of the control in view. So how do we bind? So I'll show you. So as okay, so we have seen already to define a data context either from XAML and the code behind. Now defining a data context from the XAML, there is one advantage. What is the advantage? I'll show it to you. So I'll go and I'll delete this from code behind. I'll come back to designer and I'll undo the code. Okay, so we have our data context defined. Now what is the advantage of defining a data context from view? So one advantage is you will get all the property available by you, in the IntelliSense itself, which is available in the view model. So let me clear it. Okay, so text block name, okay, and the text box. That's it. Oops, went wrong. Okay, because we haven't built it yet. So I'll go and give a build. Hope I should not get any error. Okay, everything works. So now you can see name and the text box. Now I'll bind the name property which we have defined in the view model to a text box. How? So text box, there is a property called text. Now we can bind text property to the name property in the view model. So we'll say binding and path. Now you can see the name. The moment you define a data context from code behind, you will not get this name property in the XAML. So now we have created a binding from name to text property. Now the point is how the binding works. Okay, so what will happen is when your code compiles and it finds a binding tag with a path, so what will happen is it will take the name which you have defined as a path and it will go to the data context of the user control or the window. So here in this case we have a data context called student information view model, and the compiler will try to find the name property in your data context. So in what is my data context? My data context is a student information view model. So it will go into the data context and it will try to find a property called name. So here we have a name property here. Now so whatever the value that is available in the name property of a view model, it will directly bind as a text to this text box. Now I'll run it and show you practically. Okay, let me run it. So yeah, as of now you're not seeing anything because we don't have any data in the name property. Okay, I'll show you. Let me and put a break. If this one hits, means the text property of a text box is trying to get the name from this. It means the binding happens and binding is working. Okay, yeah, see, so the text box is trying to get the name available in the view model. It means binding is working, communication between view and view model is happening. So this is an indication, means this is the indication of happening a binding. Now I'll give some default value and see whether it's reflecting to the UI or not. Let's say Vishwas. Okay, and let me go ahead and run. Yeah, it works. So what happens is, so what you see is how to define a data context and how the binding works. So this is the basic concept of MVVM pattern. You will have a view model and the model. Now I have shown you how to define a data context. So data context is nothing but a way to define a bridge between view and the view model. So data context is a way to assign a view model to a view. Now we have seen how to give a data context to a view. We have seen by two way, another is by XAML and another is by CodeBuilder. Now here are some advantages of assigning a data context by XAML file. Okay, so there are some advantages. So in this video we'll show you till this much only. Later in the next video we'll show you what is multiple way of binding. We have a mode. So we have almost one way, two way, one way to source, two way. So what is the meaning, how it works, how one is different from another, we'll show you in the next video. So thanks for watching this video.